They took him at 3:14 a.m. He was 23 years old. He had never left his county.
What's happening?
No one answers clearly. A girl in town had been attacked. Daniel fit the description. That was enough. The investigation took 4 days. The trial took 3 weeks. The sentence took seconds. Life imprisonment without parole. His mother collapses in the gallery.
He didn't do this.
But the system had already moved on. Year 1 broke his anger. Year 5 broke his pride. Year 10 broke his sense of time. The evidence had been thin. Eyewitness misidentification, no DNA testing at the time, but appeals were denied. Paperwork moved faster than truth, and time moved faster than hope. By year 12, he stopped counting days. Daniel Harper was 35 years old, and the world had moved forward without him. He reads carefully, not quickly, carefully. If it exists, test it. He writes to an innocence nonprofit, not asking for sympathy, asking for science. The letter traveled 300 miles, across county. I crossed it on the desk of someone who still believed in evidence. She pauses at one paragraph. She sees something others ignored, not emotion, inconsistency. Her jaw tightens, not in anger, in calculation. She was 33 years old, young enough to still fight, old enough to know the system does not apologize easily. She files for DNA testing. No dramatic speech, just law.
The county responds within 48 hours. They move to block. They argue procedural finality.
They argue case closure. They argue time, never truth.
Then we make them test it.
The system hates admitting error, especially when error costs decades.
No public outrage, just paperwork, and a man who had grown older inside concrete walls. The DNA results had arrived. Not a match.
The conviction is vacated.
16 years. Gone.
I told you.
The system had spoken once, now it spoke again, but time does not return with a verdict.
Freedom is not a reset button. It is an unfamiliar country. He pauses, not from fear, from unfamiliar brightness.
He saw his mom waiting outside. They walked toward each other slowly and stopped inches apart.
They embrace awkwardly, not because they don't love each other, but because 16 years is a long time to forget how someone feels in your arms.
His mother was 48 when he was taken. She is 64 now. Time kept moving, even when he could not. Cars looked different. Phones looked different. The world moved on without him.
Prison had rules. Freedom has none. For 16 years, his life stood still.
Now it must learn to move again. 2 years after his release, Daniel Harper was 41 years old. He had learned something about time. It does not return, but it can be redirected. They took 16 years. He does not raise his tone, he lowers it. That's why this matters. He began where he once ended, in courtrooms, in committee rooms, in halls where policy becomes permanence.
Together, they advocate for mandatory DNA preservation, double-blind lineup identifications, not revenge, reform.
The system had once defined him as guilty. Now he stood inside it, redefining it.
I stand before you to redefine what was lost.
No press, no crowd, just wind brushing lightly against his jacket. Not as revenge, but as proof.
Sometimes the system breaks you, but sometimes if you endure long enough, you outlive the mistake.